How much do you think you know about your country's history? Maybe you could name all the presidents in order or most of the kings if you were British. But what about the years between their reigns? Well, that's where things get fuzzy for all of us. There are just so many names, dates, and places to keep track of. But what if there was a way to learn it all easily? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to find out what would happen if we could view history like a movie. The classic story of King Arthur is one that has endured for centuries. Originally written by Sir Thomas Malory in the 15th century, the compilation of Arthurian legends known as Le Morte d'Arthur has been adapted countless times into plays, novels, and films. But we don't need to wait until the next cinematic masterpiece comes out, because thanks to this channel, we can watch the entire thing right now. Just click the thumbnail to the left of the screen to be transported to Camelot. You'll cheer as King Arthur defeats the Saxons and feels your heart break when he pulls the sword from the stone. And of course, you'll gasp in horror as Mordred stabs him in the back. Sorry, spoiler alert. But while you may feel like you have an intimate knowledge of King Arthur after watching our video, you'd actually know almost nothing about his life. The problem is that this story and others like it aren't real. They're fictional stories created hundreds of years after the alleged events took place, if they ever did take place at all. So who's right? Us or Merlin? Well, that's impossible to say. Historians have combed through every last scrap of evidence looking for anything that could point to the truth. But there are very few primary sources for Arthurian history, and none of them mention the legendary king by name. As with most ancient stories, the earliest record we have comes from a contemporary source that doesn't even mention Arthur. In 829 AD, a monk named Alcuin of York wrote a letter to Louis the Pious, the king of the Franks, thanking him for helping to repel a recent invasion by the Saxons. He specifically thanked 3 war leaders, one of whom was named Arthur. While this is the earliest record of someone with that name existing, it offers no details on who he was or what he did. In fact, there isn't any evidence to suggest that Arthur was anything more than just another battle-hardened commander. The first person to make connections between the various Arthur stories came nearly 200 years later, when Geoffrey of Monmouth published the History of the Kings of Britain in 1136. It was here that Arthur was given a backstory and turned into the once and future king. Unfortunately for Arthur fans, the bulk of Geoffrey's work was pure fiction. Much of it was based on earlier French tales that had no basis in reality. This didn't stop Geoffrey's work from being popular, though. In fact, it inspired some of the greatest works of literature ever written, including Sir Thomas Malory's Le Morte d'Arthur. So what if we tried this again? Watch another History Channel video and see how much we really learned. Click the thumbnail to the right to travel back in time to ancient Egypt. Did you know that Cleopatra was the last pharaoh of Egypt? Click on the next thumbnail to find out more. Wrong. It turns out you're still in ancient Egypt, and you're not alone. The same can be said for tens of millions of other people who have clicked on this thumbnail since it was posted in 2017. That's because sometimes the best way to learn history is the fun way. But just how fun is this channel? Well, let's find out. Over the past decade, the channel has grown exponentially, racking up over 26 million subscribers and 4 billion views. So why are people obsessed? Well, it's simple. This channel makes learning about history interactive. Instead of having to slog through long articles or dense textbooks, viewers can click on a thumbnail and be whisked away to ancient Greece or medieval Japan with just a click of a button. It's easy to see why so many people fall down this rabbit hole. Once they start clicking on thumbnails, it seems like they never want to leave. If this sounds good to you, then we have some great news. There's a reason why everyone loves to learn history this way. It's the same reason why video games are so fun, movies are exciting, and YouTube videos are engaging. It's because they're all stories. At the end of the day, humans love stories, and that's exactly what this channel is all about. The best part is that you can learn something new with every click of the thumbnail. Even seasoned historians can find nuggets of previously unknown information. So what are you waiting for? Click the thumbnail to the right and start exploring history today. While the rest of the world was enjoying the Renaissance, a scientific revolution was sweeping across the Islamic world. Muslim scholars were making groundbreaking discoveries in geometry, astronomy, and physics. In fact, they were so advanced that they even discovered zero. But this wasn't enough for one man. Abu al-Qasim al-Zabaji wanted to push the limits of human understanding even further. Born in 780 AD, al-Zabaji was a mathematician and astronomer who lived in the golden age of Islam. Although little is known about his life, we know quite a bit about his work. In fact, he's considered to be the father of algebra. That's because he wrote one of the earliest books on the subject called Kitab al-Mukhtasar fi Hisab al-Jabr wal-Muqabala. Although the title is in Arabic, it's been translated into English as the Compendium Book on Calculation by Completion and Balancing. Don't ask us what that means either. Unfortunately, not much is known about the book itself. It was likely written around 813 AD, but only a few fragments of it remain today. What we do know is that it contained more than 200 problems broken up into 25 sections. The book covered topics such as linear and quadratic equations and also introduced symbols that are still used in algebra today. But perhaps even more importantly, it offered a systematic approach to solving mathematical problems. This was revolutionary at the time because most mathematicians simply memorized the solutions to common problems. Zabaji's approach allowed anyone to solve problems independently, which is a big reason why he's remembered as one of the greatest mathematicians of all time. But what if you wanted to continue learning about math? Well, it's easy to do when you have an endless library of math lessons at your fingertips. You can learn about everything from basic arithmetic to advanced calculus with just a few clicks. That's because Brilliant has thousands of lessons on everything science and math related. Not only that, but their lessons are incredibly intuitive. Rather than memorizing formulas, Brilliant teaches you why the formulas work and how they can be applied to real-world situations. To top it off, they're always adding new lessons so you can always find something new to learn. And now back to the video. But what if we could experience history in real time? That's exactly what happens to 17-year-old Samantha in the film 12 Years a Slave. After she's kidnapped and sold into slavery, Samantha finds herself transported to 1841 Louisiana. Luckily for her, she's able to find a sympathetic ear in William Ford, the owner of the plantation where she's taken. He takes her under his wing and tries to help her adjust to life on the plantation, but it's clear that there's no place for her there. Eventually, Samantha is forced to flee, and she spends the next several years on the run, trying to make her way back home. Along the way, she meets all sorts of characters, both good and bad. Some help her along her journey, while others try to hinder her progress. Through it all, Samantha remains determined to make it back home to her family. In the end, she succeeds, but not without suffering greatly for it. While the film is fictional, it's based on real events that took place during the antebellum South. In fact, it's thought that as many as 4,000 white women were kidnapped and sold into slavery during this time period. Most of them were poor and uneducated, and they were often taken advantage of by their captors. But what if you wanted to learn more about this time period? Well, luckily for you, there's a way to do just that. A series that brings history to life. By signing up, you'll get access to a massive library of historical dramas that are based on actual events. With so many series to choose from, you're sure to find something that interests you. And with new episodes premiering every month, there's always something fresh to watch. Plus, you'll get access to exclusive bonus content that will give you even more insight into the historical dramas. And now back to the video. Imagine if you could time travel and witness important moments firsthand. That's exactly what happened to a group of archaeologists in 1995 when they discovered the tomb of an Egyptian pharaoh. The tomb was filled with treasures, including a sarcophagus made of pure gold. As the archaeologists carefully opened the sarcophagus, they were stunned to see a mummified body inside. The team quickly got to work, carefully unwrapping the mummy and studying its features. They soon realized that they had found the tomb of Tutankhamun, one of the most famous pharaohs in history. The discovery was made by a team led by renowned Egyptologist Howard Carter. Carter had been searching for the tomb for years, but he was finally successful in 1922. The discovery of the tomb caused a sensation around the world. People from all over came to Egypt to see the newly found treasure. It was truly a once-in-a-lifetime event. However, the discovery also caused some controversy.